haven't always had a passion for woodworking, but somehow I stumbled upon two crazy guys on YouTube who made furniture from pallets, and seeing that I had nothing to do, decided to give it a go.
Hi, my name is Louis, and I set out to create a unique minimalistic coffee table for one of my first clients using pallet wood. But things didn't go as planned, and I had to learn an important lesson. I can't wait to show you guys how I tackled the challenges and turn this project into a success. The area I work in is full of discarded pallets, so I simply drove around and collected a few. For this particular project, 3 pallets would be enough. At least that's what I thought initially. I usually take apart my pallets with a hammer and a chisel. Once the boards are separated, I take out the nails. Yes, I know. You got to be kidding me. Before I work with the pallets, I straighten them by running them through my jig, my table saw. I'll link the tutorial below in the description for you guys. Once they had gone through the table saw, I hit the boards with the planer. And I hope you guys get the like buttons ready because it was a really rough ride.
I was gonna skip this step, but I was feeling generous.
Once my ADD brain won the MotoGP and we got the boards planed, it was time to get the tabletop assembled. I ran into another problem. I didn't have glue. I only had enough of the base, so the top I did not use glue. I basically ran out and my local supplier ran out too, so I guess it's safe to say I found myself in a bit of a sticky situation, if you know what I mean. So what I actually did to solve the problem is, well, I don't know if I solved it, we'll find out later, but I just happened to screw them in using cross supports for the tabletop. Only time will tell if it holds. Now, if you have a careful look at the texture of this tabletop, you'll see that there are some red colorations. I was lucky enough to find some Meranti wood in the pallet, which I think really complemented the texture of this tabletop. Now, in a previous video I show you guys how I made my own wood filler or wood putty using PVA glue and sand dust. I used it on a console tabletop. If you guys want to have a look at how I did that, I'll post the video in the description for you. But for the purpose of this project, I thought that this red aftermarket wood putty would blend in nicely. I actually prefer this wood putty because it's convenient to spare time if you are in a bit of a rush. Now, my client I know is from India, and when they have get-togethers, there is always curry and samosas involved. So I knew that the top of the table had to be protected, and to do this, I sprayed a NC top coat finish to give it some shine and protection. In order to maintain a pallet characteristic look, I decided to keep the blocks and mount them to the base of the table so that I could attach the legs. In order for me to attach the custom legs that I had made with my jigsaw, I had to mount the pallet blocks that I had previously sanded to the bottom of the table, and to do this I just simply glued them using PVA glue, and then once I'd finished gluing them, I secured them more tightly using a pocket jig. To give the base a bit more of a modern look, I borrowed a router from a carpentry shop nearby. And believe it or not, this was my first attempt ever using a router, so if I'm making any mistakes, please don't hate me for it. After I was finished with the routing at the bottom of the base of the table, it was time for me to start assembling the template trestles that I had previously cut out. So I just attached them to 2 bottom cross supports that would be going at the bottom of the table, and after I had attached them to the bottom cross supports, I started sanding them down, and once I had sanded them down, I just added some red mahogany stain to give it a nice finish. Once I finished staining, it was time to attach those beautiful, shiny, sexy legs to the bottom of the table. I just put some wood glue down and started securing the legs. The table was finished and I was quite chuffed with the outcome, so I sent the client a picture to see if he was happy with the end result.
Oh, come on, dude. So you don't like the table I built? I'll send you a picture once I'm done. Quick job. Thanks.
To lighten the load of unbearable disbelief, I took off to do what any DIY would do, and that was to give a shit about what the client thought. Determined to finish the project, I went and set off to build another coffee table, but I didn't have enough pallets left. So what I did was I used the bases from the previous pallets that I disassembled to build another pallet. Glued together some boards. I stained them with the stain that I had left from the previous project. This gave the tabletop a nice shiny finish. And this was the end result. Now, even though this was a really basic build, at the end of the day, what really mattered was that the client was really happy because it's exactly what he wanted.
Now, through this project, I learned the importance of clear communication and truly understanding the needs of the client. Just because I worked hard on this project over here doesn't necessarily mean that it's what the client initially wanted. Not knowing that from the start doesn't necessarily make me a bad woodworker, but just like a pencil, just because the pencil is blunt doesn't necessarily mean that it's not the right tool for the job. But sometimes all that pencil needs is a little bit of sharpening.